that weren't showcase games for $5.
Right.
I mean, they don't draw fans unless they're number one in the country, unless they're playing a high-profile opponent. I mean, it's the city of Miami, but it's also the thing where their administration has always used the Dolphins facility. And then that's what they continue to do now. They use the Orange Bowl. Now it's gone. And now they're using Hard Rock Stadium, which is – people tell me, and I'm not as familiar with the geography. I think it's 45 minutes from campus.
Yeah, it's
or something.
Yeah, it's a little bit south.
Yeah, so they don't have their own stuff, and I know that's been a sticking point. And I'll be honest, if they do, give the Ziggy to Manny Diaz, and we've already seen them dismiss their athletic director, Mario Cristobal is hanging out there as an all-time great Hurricane who played on some national championship teams, and yet he left that staff to go work for Nick Saban when he had been rehired after FIU stupidly let him go as head coach. He was going to be, I think, on Al Golding's staff at the time in Miami. He left because Nick Saban gave him an opportunity, and he knew Alabama was a better program.
Right.
And he wouldn't leave Oregon right now for Miami. I don't think he would trust them to be committed. I think he would consider going to the Florida Gators more than he would his own alma mater.
That's where I was just kind of thinking about this, because it was like, okay, we're going to see a lot of these. There's going to be college football coaches that will leave said programs this fall or at the end of the season. And is it going to be because of the money, or is it going to be because they fully believe that they can elevate the new program to a level where it hasn't been? Whoever comes into the LSU job is going to get paid a lot of money. But are they going to come because of a lot of money, or are they going to come because they believe they can get LSU back to being among – LSU has fallen back a little bit this year, but they're still among – some of the better teams in the West. I mean, that is going without a doubt. But will they come to believe that they can get LSU back to national championship caliber quickly, or will it be because Scott Woodard is going to open up the money?
It's about they've won 3 national championships with that program under 3 head coaches since 2003. I mean, they won – Nick Saban won it in 2003. The Hat won it Les Miles in 2007. And then in 2019, Ed Ogeron. You got 3 head coaches, you got 3 national titles, and the Hat played for another, and we all know what happened. The beat down in New Orleans, 21-0 to Alabama. So they've played for 4 national championships since 2003. That's going to be why they're going to be able to hire a great coach. That's why people have talked about it being one of the top 3 to 4 to 5 jobs in America, just simply because you've won multiple national championships there. I mean, Alabama's been the standard, but then you got Clemson with a couple, 16 and 18, and then you got LSU with 3 and played for a 4th. So that's a very short list of programs that have played for championships like that. I mean, the Miami Hurricanes dominated the late 80s through the 90s and then the early 2000s, but really the Canes have not been a major factor since 2002.
Right.
So that is what's hurting Miami.
All right, so 256-576-4977, that is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show, on the conversation up to this point so far if you want. Just your thoughts on college football. The other big topic coming out would be after Alabama practice yesterday. Nick Saban's press conference only lasted 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Here is a question from the coach that has garnered a lot of attention.
Yeah, we've talked about practice intensity all season. How would you assess the way they practiced this week?
Yesterday was okay. Today we got a lot of guys that had to poor me's, whatever that means. So, you get into your feelings and you don't do things the way you need to do them to have success. And when you get that way, you don't create good habits, and that's not a good thing. It's not something that we can accept, and it's something that we got to do a better job of.
Go to Charlie.
Short and brief right there. A lot of poor me's this week for Alabama, and that is what we've talked about all season, Drew. That is that maturity level, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was getting a lot of tweets, and I did not see the press conference live. I went back and watched it. I know we had it here on 97.7 The Zone. I was, occupied and was actually getting a haircut at the time when Nick Saban went on the air. And so I did not hear the comments and started getting a lot of questions about why has practice been bad. And I even asked, I said, well, who reported that? And they're like, well, Nick Saban. And so I went back and read the quotes, and I went and watched the press conference, and certainly he wasn't in a great mood. It sounds like that practice hasn't gone well this week, so I'm predictably, I'm sure people are panicking, thinking that they're not going to play well. But the way I explained it is this. I mean, if anybody's been following this football team, and I'm talking about this Alabama 2021 team,
yes,
this shouldn't be a shock. This is a team that's been up and down with the way they've prepared. They haven't always had attention to detail. And, look, I understand what's at stake. I mean, if they win this weekend, they win the Western Division. And so, again, it should be concerning. But this is a team that's kind of lacked internal leadership, that Coach Saban is known as fragile and has been trying to massage to the finish line. But at the same time, I think he's sending them a message now, too, that, look, man, this team is coming, Arkansas, to punch you in the face. I mean, it's a Sam Pittman team.
A physical football team.
I mean, certainly Sam Pittman has hired, Kendall Briles, and they spread it out and they try to throw it some, but
you take
they're
on the
predicated
of your head coach,
on running the
physical
ball. I mean, they have a dual threat quarterback who's 6'1", 6'2", 245 pounds. He loves, everyone, if you've seen Sam Pittman as a coach at Arkansas and at Georgia, he likes big offensive lines. I mean, we're talking probably the biggest in the country. At one time at Arkansas, they had the biggest in football, and I'm talking about even bigger than any in the NFL.
That was when Brett Bielema was there, right? Though.
Well, but Sam Pittman was the offensive line coach is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And so he likes huge dudes, man, because when Chad Morris was there, it was awful. I mean, they were undersized.
There wasn't anything good about Chad Morris.
No, they had really fallen on hard times up front, and so he's trying to change all that. And they can run the football, So I think he's warning his team, like, look, this team is going to come in and be physical with you, and you got to strike somebody up front. We've got to be ready to play. And again, he's trying to motivate his team through the media. I know it's already game 11. We'll see what if they end up playing poorly, because they've played poorly at times this year when they didn't prepare well. So certainly people are going to gnash their teeth. But Coach Saban, he's been there, done that. He's talked to his team in the media many, many times, and they've won games where he's been ornery and not been happy with the preparation. So we'll see what happens with this team. But certainly it's got to be a little concerning. But Arkansas, he knows the kind of coach Pittman is, and they're not going to reinvent the wheel. They're not going to come in here and try to fool Alabama and try to trick them and run misdirection and things of that nature. They are going to try to run right at them, because Arkansas's strength is up front on the offensive and defensive lines and at linebacker defensively. And what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to establish the line of scrimmage. And their way to win, if you've been watching Arkansas lately, they ain't been scoring a ton of points. Now, they did score 51 against Ole Miss. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to win the time of possession, and they're not besides Traylon Burks, they're not a huge big play offense.
They're not a flashy.
Yeah, they're not a flashy
offense.
team, they're going to come in here and play physical.
Texas A&M, LSU, Arkansas, the last three Alabama SEC games. We're taking away the non-conference game. Of those three, if you had to rank them in the physicality department, how would it be?
Physicality. I mean,
Texas A&M, LSU, Arkansas. Those have been the last three, just so that people understand that how physical maybe this Arkansas team may be compared.
I would say Arkansas is probably the most physical team of all of them. The reason I say that is, think about it. I mean, I know he was still getting his feet wet, and there'd just been the injury and things of that nature.
Right.
But they beat A&M 20-10 in Jerry World. I mean, they pushed A&M around. A&M wasn't able to score and move the ball consistently. LSU certainly played well against Alabama, but if you've watched LSU throughout the season, they have not been as physical. And it was a physical game with LSU and Arkansas, but I think that's because Arkansas made it that way. And so I just think that, the Hogs are definitely going to come in and challenge Alabama. If Alabama can contain Traylon Burks and he doesn't go for 150 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, Theisen, our great one of our great partners here at 97.7 The Zone, they always give us the point spreads and they sometimes give you the over under, and I think it's 58.5 or something for Alabama Arkansas, and that's going into account that Alabama's still a 21-point favorite. So what that's telling you, Scott, is they don't expect this to be a high-scoring game, and they don't expect Arkansas to score a ton of points, because Arkansas, if you look at it, they beat LSU 16-13 in overtime. Okay, and so they beat Mississippi State 31-28. Mississippi State missed a bunch of field goals. So I think they believe that this is not going to be a game played a 35-31 type ball game.
Do you think it'll? Your gut saying, would you take the under then?
I would take the under. I think my official prediction was 35-17 Alabama. So I don't think it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be played in the 30s or 40s.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You got a minute or so if you want to get in on this quick conversation.
But, of course, I that was before Nick Saban went on a rant yesterday and said practice had been terrible. So, I don't know about terrible.
You hope that, his version of terrible and what we're hearing and our vision of what we're seeing.
Well, what has happened earlier in the season makes everybody nervous.
Right,
especially the LSU game.
But that is the same feeling, though.
Which is the last SEC game like you were referring to.
Right. That is the same feeling that Alabama fans have felt, though, all year. And I think that is why when we sit here and we talk about numbers and we talk about stuff, we gloss over Bryce Young's numbers. We gloss over Jamison Williams, how important of an X factor he has been this year, simply because of the frustrating part of coming in and the mental lapse that we're not used to seeing from this Alabama team. It overshadows the productivity of how good Will Anderson has been. We talk about it on the show, and he's getting a lot of national attention, but all of that overshadows the production numbers that we're seeing from this Alabama team.
Well, I think maybe Nick Saban was also yesterday was trying to make sure that he had the attention of his team, trying to keep them on edge and make sure that they're ready to play, because he understands that probably with this team more than any of his others lately, the margin of error is small. Because I'll be the first to say.
Is it small or is it normal?
I would just say small with this group, because and they have quite a standard to live up to with what Nick Saban has built.
Right.
But when you look at it, nobody saw a close game coming with LSU. I certainly didn't. So
not even Vegas. There was a 20-some point spread.
It was 29.
So 29, yeah.
So and Alabama's still a huge favorite in this coming game. So now remember, even against Tennessee for 3 quarters, it was close.
True.
And then Alabama poured it on in the fourth quarter, and Tennessee claimed a moral victory. And some of the fans were blaming the refs, which is unbelievable. But still, you've got to. Alabama's got to have attention to detail, because if LSU's capable of taking Alabama to the bitter end in the fourth quarter, Arkansas certainly is too, because Arkansas is a better team than LSU.
All right, let's get a break in. We've talked a lot of football, but we got to talk some basketball. One of the best to ever put on the uniform for Athens and Alabama joins us next. He's been courtside. He's watched Alabama play. He'll give us his thoughts. Richard Hendrix.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We haven't picked up anything new accident-wise. Winchester and Meridian, Gordon, Terry, and McIntyre in Decatur, and Highway 20 near Calvary Boulevard in Decatur all should be clearing pretty quick. You get 10 hours of the YMCA's personal training for $300 during the Y's Black Friday sale. The 22nd through Black Friday only at the Y branches in Madison and Huntsville, or at ymcahuntsville.org. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Nothing beats a great burger to celebrate Labor Day weekend. And at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we couldn't agree more. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then now is your chance to sink your teeth into one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers for half price. Our Zone deal this week gets you $50 worth of delicious burgers made with premium Angus beef for just $25. Log on 977ESPN.com now and get your Bad Daddy's Zone deal before they're gone.
Hi folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. And while placing a custom factory order is a smart way to save big and get exactly what you want, it's not suited for everybody. Right now, during our year-end sales event, choose from the best selection we've had in months of 2021 F-150, Explorer, and Edge. These Fords are on the ground and ready for your driveway. Woody Anderson Ford has financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months on most 21 models, and 22 Edge has up to $2,000 in bonus cash. If you're like me, you've seen more and more Bronco Sports running the roads in Huntsville and Madison. Come take one for a test drive and you'll see why folks rave about it. It's Woody Anderson Ford's year-end sales event with 0% financing for 60 months or up to $2,000 in bonus cash, and it all ends November 30th. Come in to Woody Anderson Ford. We're America's best-selling brand. Woody Anderson Ford, corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
It's not just Santa who's coming to town, it's also your in-laws and their cousins. So time for some gifts from the Home Depot. From doorbell cameras to intelligent thermostats, you'll look smart and save big on the latest smart home gifts. Does your father-in-law like to fix things around the house? Put him to work with a DeWalt 20-volt 2-battery starter kit. Buy one, get one free. That should keep him busy. No matter who comes to town this year, make the holidays yours with savings on tools and gifts store-wide from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
The forecast calls for football with a strong wind blowing in from training camp.
Football was priority. It's a long football season. It's called tackle football.
A heavy rain of hitting coupled with an afternoon film session. Listen to all the coverage on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, the first, welcome back to Talking Ball. Those first segment there was football related because there was a lot to get on the plate, but this is the best time of year for sports fans if you love college sports because college basketball is just starting. College football is in the apex of the season. I mean, we're talking playoff scenarios. We're talking win-losses at a premium. It is awesome. College basketball, though, these are great times because these are these great non-conference matchups. You really find out about your team. You get two sports going on at the same time. And for Alabama, Drew, they're off to a great start. They've played two quality opponents and have looked good in both games.
Well, they have. They're 3-0 now.
Or 3-0, my bad.
You know, they've come out strong. They've played against three different style of opponents. You know, the Crimson Tide certainly, has played well thus far. They played really well offensively against South Dakota State, scoring 104 points. No question about that. They have. I think what we've seen so far is some offensive balance. Now they're probably not where they need to be on the defensive end of the court, but they had the 73-68 kind of slugfest with South Alabama the other day, which was probably the most physical team that they had played, no doubt about it. And then they beat a really good Louisiana Tech team in game one, really blew them out by 30, scoring 93 points. I believe the final was 93-64. So we've seen, three different styles that they've been able to play, but they were able to not play their best basketball, especially offensively, but find a way to win and be gritty and tough in that last one against USA. South Alabama had lost a close game at Wichita State, and they have a lot of Division I transfers on their roster from around the SEC, Auburn, Texas A&M. So it was a good win, 3-0. Now they play against Oakland on Friday, and Oakland has already beaten Oklahoma State in Stillwater. So this is a team that's very talented that Alabama is going to have to be ready to play, no doubt about it. But speaking of ready to play, speaking of McDonald's All-Americans, Mr. Basketball, from 2005 to 2008, a member of the Crimson Tide before that, the Athens Golden Eagles, one of the great players in the state's history, and a guy that, again, was an all-SEC forward and has just wrapped up a career that saw him globally play basketball in a lot of different countries. He was drafted in the second round by the Golden State Warriors when he came out of college after his junior year, where he already had his degree, and that is former Athens Golden Eagle Richard Hendrix, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, now going into the broadcasting stage of his career and off to a great start. Richard, it's great to have you back on in your home base here in Madison County in the Rocket City. You're with Drew and Scott this morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing great. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, Richard, and you have we've talked a lot about Alabama and this fast start. You have been along the courtside watching this Alabama team play up close and personal on the SEC Network Plus with Eli Gold. And how's that experience been?
It's been a really good experience. I've had a really good opportunity to come up to being an analyst and with SEC Network Plus. So I've been really happy to be able to watch Alabama play up close and personal, and also not just Alabama, but some other good teams like South Alabama and this Oakland team that's coming up here soon.
Yeah, and Richard, I've seen you in Hoover before at Football Media Days. We connected and recorded an interview with you one time. I know you've gotten to know the people at the SEC Network a little bit. When did you start maybe putting out feelers and maybe looking into potentially going into broadcasting when you decided to hang up the basketball shoes?
Well, I've always had an interest in broadcasting and being an analyst, but as my professional career was kind of winding down, I guess it's over. It's been 13 years professional. It's one of those things. I haven't made an announcement. I haven't come to grips to say, hey, the ball has stopped bouncing. But I had an opportunity this season. I said, hey, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with my family, see how it goes. And I had an opportunity to come do some color analysis, and it's been a pretty good deal so far. I've enjoyed it. It's really kept me involved in the game, studied the game, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, let's talk about it. You've sat courtside with Eli and have watched this Alabama team. It's not your Alabama team by any stretch, but how impressive has it been to watch Nate Oates' 3 games?
Well, it's been a lot of fun, especially to be courtside, sitting next with Eli Gold and Roger Hooper, who are both great play-by-play announcers and make my job very, very easy for me. It's been really good to watch Alabama and their growth. I've been away for over 13 years, so I haven't seen a game in person since I left.
And Coleman Coliseum hasn't changed at all.
No, but to me, honestly, I'm from the old school. I have to admit, a lot of people look and they say they need a new arena. Things have changed. But, I've always felt like it's a really good atmosphere down there. The crowd was rowdy. I want to say last Friday night when I had a game. So against South Dakota State. So they have a really good roster. And it's definitely a different style of ball than what I played when I was there almost 15 years ago.
Yeah, no question about it. And what have been your initial thoughts? I know you've been busy with your pro career and been overseas a lot. But you've seen now what Nate Oates has built at Alabama. A lot of us have been reminded of the athleticism of some of your squads under Mark Gottfried and really under Wimp Sanderson, his mentor. A lot of NBA talent, but a fun style of play, which is really different, which has kind of been what Nate Oates has used in order to establish Alabama as a program on the rise and where he's now beginning to recruit at a national level.
Well, he definitely has a fun style to watch. He has an effective style. He's an innovator in a time where everyone seems to be playing this style. I think a lot of teams are in a major disadvantage when they play against Alabama because they try to mimic the style that is just naturally his. That gives Alabama an advantage because when he needs to make an adjustment, he knows how to do it, he knows what to look for, and he's very, very effective with it. It's a different style of ball from the ball that, Coach Mark Gottfried played and led when I was there. Like I said, as a guy who actually has a lot of, respect for my era, it's interesting because a lot of people say, man, would you like to play in this time? What do you think about, the players compared to then? And I think it's just amazing because it's 2 totally different styles. Me personally, I'm from the old school. I think the guys today would have a rough time handling how it was in my time. I mean, when you think about it, you watch Alabama now, very talented from the guard position, 4 or 5 really, really good guards. But the biggest difference between the game today and 15 years ago is the post play.
Yeah.
Whereas you in the SEC, when I was coming through, you're talking about an LSU roster that would have Big Baby, Tyrus Thomas, Tasman Mitchell, all in the paint at the same time, battling against myself, Jamario Davidson, Chuck Davis, all in the starting 5. You don't see this anymore in the college game where people just pound it. They get it down, a lot of physicality down low, a lot of high-low basketball in the paint, and you grind out wins, in the 60s and upper 50s. So I think the 2 styles are highly effective. It's just a matter of preference, but I will say as far as the entertainment factor is concerned, it's a lot more fun to watch the players get up and down.
Well, who's kind of impressed you then with this Alabama roster so far?
I've been impressed with several players. I think I was impressed last year. I've been impressed with Keon Ellis's emergence in all facets of the game. Last year he was on a team as a newcomer with a lot of really, really good players around him, John Petty, Herb Jones. Obviously, you had some young players with Josh Primo and Alex Reese as well, but he's really been able to step his game up all around. I think last year he only averaged about 5 points and a couple of rebounds, but to be pulling double-doubles and defending the team's, guarding the team's best player and also showing that he can shoot the 3-ball, I've been really impressed with him, not just only with his play, but his demeanor on the court as well.
Yeah, he's really played well, and Coach Oates was lauding him before the season, before Louisiana Tech, saying he may be the best two-way player in the SEC. And then I will say I wanted to get your opinion on the big man. Post play, I know, as you said, it's different now, the way in the style in which Nado's plays. He plays a lot of 4 out, 1 in. And the 1 in has been Charles Bediako. He's a guy that they didn't have last year, gets him some rim protection. His last 2 games, Richard, he seems to be asserting himself, especially with the loss of Juwan Gary early against South Dakota State, and he did not play in this last game. But what has impressed you about Bediako thus far?
I've been impressed with his poise. As a 7-footer, he's 19 years old. When you are playing a style, when you're playing 4-round 1 and mainly pick-and-roll basketball, people don't realize that to play pick-and-roll on the college level, you have to have experienced guards who have seen scenarios over and over and over again. The same for the bigs. It's not as simple as just setting a pick and rolling. There's a lot of reads that take place that takes a lot of reps and time to get. I would compare it to something like football, being a quarterback, and you're running a read option. You have to read, do you make the pitch? Do you pull it? Do you throw it? Do you run it? All of these things have to be made in a split-second decision. If you watch Bediako at 19 years old, 7 foot, he's able to catch a lot of passes on the short roll, precipitously from Quinterly. He gets his head up. He can find the shooters in the corner, also at the wing. Sometimes he's able to take it all the way to the paint to finish it. It's really impressive to see a man of that size and that age handle those scenarios with so much poise. I think it's a credit not just to him, but the coaching staff. They're doing a really, really good job, because I don't think people understand how difficult of a facet of the game that is.
J.D. Davison has come in with a lot of pomp and circumstance as a freshman. It's a lot to live up to. And I mean, you came in a McDonald's All-American. You came in, similar accolades coming in. How tough is that for a freshman to step onto the court and try to adjust to the college game like he's trying to do?
Well, it's very difficult. I can attest to the exact same